Kyle, and you are back watching Knockouts and 3 Counts. And, I know we've been a little bit silent on the prediction videos lately, but how the fuck could we not bring it back for Khabib versus Gaethje? I mean, I'm really looking forward to this fight. Although, Dana, you and I need to talk about this start time bullshit, dude. 2 o'clock is a little early, homie.
Yeah, I enjoy it personally. It'll give me something. I normally get my Saturdays full of work. This one's going to be full of pleasure, you know?
Well, fuck you, because I still got to work. Yeah, I don't know about the start time. I mean, we're going to see what it does in the buy rate. Let us know in the comments if the start time, bothers you, any of that good kind of stuff. Like I said, man, we've been all over the place lately. We just got back from LA. Check out our vlog there in the corner from GCW Last Resort. Like I said, great time. We were joined by our homie Mega Ran, and there's going to be more of those to come. Let us know in the comments what you think. That one was a little short because it was a short trip, but hey, like I said, we're out here working. But that's not why we're here. All right, UFC 254. Corey, like I said, there's some fights I'm looking forward to, but I think it's a little overhyped on some of the other ones. So you've got the card up there.
All right, so where do you want to start? You want to start?
We're gonna go main card. First? We're gonna go from bottom to the top. The ones we want to hit. Like I said, all of these fights on this card are not all of them kind of the biggest deal to me. But if we're going from bottom to top, the first fight that jumps out to me is going to be Lauren Murphy against her new opponent, Lilia Sharda.
Yeah, good luck. Sharavova.
Lilia Sarakorba, I'm going to guess. The Russian name. Anyways, Lauren Murphy had a couple different opponent changes here.
Well, no, this was actually supposed to be a very big fight in the 125
right, but it wasn't who she was originally supposed to fight.
No, absolutely not. Her original person she was supposed to fight was Cynthia Calvillo.
Right.
And that was supposed to be a hell of a fight. Like I said,
I mean, that would have been a banger. I love watching Cynthia Calvillo
that was the fight to line up who was next after Valentina defends her belt, as long as everything goes according to plan there. Personally, I applaud Lauren Murphy for staying on the card. I was almost surprised to see her just kind of take whoever the UFC was willing to give her at this point, because she's worked her way, in my eyes, from being a slightly above average UFC fighter to now getting to the point where she's contending for a belt. And I don't know if anybody has seen her in the embedded that they've been doing or not, but she's actually coming into this fight in incredible shape, even better than usual. And she usually is somebody that comes in looking, pretty ripped.
I mean, shout out to her for the fight. I'm going to be completely honest. I've not always been the biggest fan of hers. When she came off The Ultimate Fighter, I thought she was kind of whiny. But like I said, man, like you said, I mean, she's worked her way up to earn the spot in here. We're going to see what she does with the opponent change. If I'm picking one on this one, I'm going to go with Lauren Murphy.
I would hope so.
If she loses, that could be catastrophic.
For her especially. Like I said, this was supposed to essentially be a #1 contenders fight. So if she was to lose to somebody who's making their debut in the UFC, granted, I did see an article posted on the Russian girl. I'm not even going to try to hack her name. She is actually a very impressive opponent. She's been looking to make her UFC debut for a while, and they just so happen to be able to fit her in. And this is what a hell of a shot if you're able to pull it off, huh?
Hey, if she wins, this skyrockets her. But like I said, this is a fight Lauren Murphy has to win. If she loses this fight, it's going to be catastrophic.
Well,
all right.
Not to beat a dead horse, but look what happened with the Jennifer Maia Calderwood fight. Calderwood did the same thing, essentially stepped in.
Like I said, she has to win.
Yeah.
Period. There ain't no other option. She has to win, and quite frankly, she needs to win convincingly. All right. Next fight that's jumping out to me on this one is one that we've talked about a lot, that's been talked about a lot, and, this guy's story has been talked a lot, in Alexander Volkov versus Walt Harris. Walt Harris, for those of you who know, he's got a tragic story with what happened to his daughter. He's battled his way back. How can you not be a fan of that guy? Volkov, on the other hand, he was a fucking killer in Bellator. You know, he was their heavyweight champion, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Dude is an absolute monster and showed that in his last fight. So this fight against Walt Harris, I think, is going to be a real banger. I'll be honest with you, though. After the way his last fight went, I love Walt Harris.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going with Volkov. I think he's going to be technically better. And I think for Walt Harris to win, he's going to have to make this fight dirty. But if I'm picking one, I got to go with Volkov.
Well, I completely agree with you on the fact that if Walt Harris is going to win the fight, he's going to have to kind of make it almost a dirty fight. But I don't necessarily agree with the fact that... So Volkov is an incredibly impressive fighter when he's able to dictate the pace at which the fight is taking place. If he's able to lead the dance, he is an incredible heavyweight that could definitely rise his way to the belt. That being said, whenever he gets in there with somebody like Walt Harris, who kind of gets in there and pushes him around a little bit, that's where his holes start to show. He kind of, for such a big guy, he allows himself to kind of get bullied in there.
I can see your point there.
Which is honestly surprising because of all the accolades that you say. You know, he's done incredible things with his career. Since he stepped into the UFC, I've seen him kind of go on an up and down tier.
To be fair, though, Volkov is a guy, though, when you watch him fight, whether you watch his fights in Bellator or here in the UFC, Volkov is a guy who, he's a slow starter. He's kind of got to take some shots in order for it. And it's not, sometimes it's a good trait to have because it shows your durability, but it also is a problem at times because then, you know, if it takes you too long to really get, you know, acclimated, that can be a problem. Like I said, I'm going to go with Volkov on this one, but I'm a huge fan of Walt Harris.
So,
like I said, so who are you going with?
I think we didn't get to see the true Walt Harris in his last fight, especially he was fighting an incredible opponent in Alistair Overeem. I mean, that's an incredible hard win to get, especially coming back off of everything that you had noted with, you know, what happened to his stepdaughter and stuff. You know, rest in peace, Anaya. That was a very sad moment in the recent MMA history. But with that being said, I don't think we've seen all of it because I think with it being his first fight back, his first main event, there was a lot of nerves going into it, and especially with a rise up in competition like he had. I'm kind of wanting to say that I think Harris is going to be able to... I think he's going to show that he's improved his skills. My question is he able to do it within the first round and a half, 2 rounds? Because he tends to gas out later in the fight.
See, and that's my worry. And that right there is the exact reason I'm picking Volkov. Yep. Because if Walt Harris can't make it dirty quick and knock him out, the longer that fight goes and the more shots that Volkov takes, granted that he stays awake, he has proven that he's durable. Walt Harris has shown that he has gas problems, and against a guy who can be durable and a guy who can knock you out, Volkov will be a problem. That's why I'm going with Volkov in this one. But hey, again, shout out to Walt Harris. All right, next fight on the card is your co-main event. You've got the former champ, Robert Whittaker, versus Jared Cannonier. Okay, now, if you've watched UFC Embedded, Jared Cannonier is kind of an out there guy. All right. But that being said, there's something to be said for that because he seems to be really in tune mentally. It seems as though the Abu Dhabi lights and the travel and all that don't seem to really be affecting him like that. Not that it should affect Robert Whittaker either, because Robert Whittaker is used to fighting overseas as well. So that, I think, is something that will cancel itself out. To me, the real question in this fight is going to be, is the championship pedigree of Robert Whittaker going to be the difference against Cannonier? And on the flip side, is that young, hungry, you know, that quick rise going to be too much for Robert Whittaker? So since I went first on the last fight, Corey, who are you picking in this fight?
Well, since you note it like that and lead me with the straight fastball coming in, I'm going to say Whittaker's going to win, and not necessarily because of what you had just mentioned. I actually think that his best opportunity is to truly mix it up. Like he is the better fighter out of the two in a broad spectrum. Now, I think
he's the better overall fighter.
I think Cannonier is incredibly dangerous with his ability not only to land strikes, but to land those power strikes at the moment.
His explosiveness.
My concern is Rob's legs going to get kicked out early? Because if you notice, not only like look past the Anderson Silva fight, because yeah, he took his legs out, basically destroyed his legs, but look at like the Jack Hermanson fight. I consider that more of a real test because they're both up-and-comers in the division. And he just completely destroyed his legs before he could get any type of momentum going whatsoever. And when you're talking about somebody that big and powerful, as much as I love Robert Whittaker, and that might be partially why I'm picking him, is because he is one of my favorite fighters, Jared Cannonier has a very real shot of pulling that off. And if he is able to parlay his way into the
him and Izzy is a hell of a fight.
It very much is, and it's got some very real chances both ways. I love the pre-fight call out, I guess you could in that regard. But y'all must have forgot who Whittaker was and how he got that title. You know, he walked through Romero twice. He, worked his way up through all the contenders in the division. Look what he did to Jacare when Jacare was at the top of his game.
Oh, and Jacare was a killer, not just on the ground, but
he was at the top of his game too.
Right.
It was at the very peak in my eyes.
I'm going to go right along there with you, and I'm going to go with Robert Whittaker. But that being said, like Corey said, this fight is intriguing to me for the same reason that the main event fight is intriguing to me, because for all intents and purposes, Robert Whittaker should be the better fighter. The same as Khabib, as everybody would bet, would be the favorite. But the same as the explosiveness is the X factor for Cannonier. I think it's going to be the same as the striking power, and hopefully, if you're Justin Gaethje, the takedown defense or the ability to get back up will be for him. So for me, I'm going to go with Whittaker, but I would not be surprised at all if Cannonier wins. And who did you pick in the heavyweight fight?
I picked Harris, but I wouldn't be surprised if Volkov is able to weather the storm and gas through it. Or, gas him out in the later rounds.
All right, so
get him on decision.
We're on the same page for the co-main. We're split on the Volkov-Harris fight. Mm-hmm. Let's see if we get it the same on the main event. The main event, you have Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov, I said it, versus Justin the Highlight Gaethje.
The Russian Eagle.
All right, there's a few things that we have to highlight into this fight. It's going to be really interesting because this is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, this will be Khabib's first fight since his father.
Yep.
So that's going to be interesting because not only for him, but the other guys that are in his camp, this will be the first camp since Javier Mendez, even though he's always been his coach, kind of is really at the helm and he's without his father. Will that affect him mentally? I don't personally think so, but it's definitely something that you're going to have to look into. With Justin Gaethje, he really has that mindset of he has nothing to lose here. Is that going to make him more loose, if not too loose? Again, let us know in the comments, do you think it will do either of those things to either guy?
Do you really think that's his mentality coming into this fight, is that he has nothing to lose? Because watching the media and watching like the press conference they did the other day,
I think he feels like he has something to prove.
That's what I was more along the lines of.
When I say he feels like he has nothing to lose, I think what I mean by that is that everybody is expecting Khabib to win.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's not pressure on him because it's a world title fight, much less you're fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov, which, for all intents and purposes, is the best fighter at lightweight in recent history, if not, period. Again, who would you say is the best lightweight of all time? Is it Khabib? And
with the performance.
And if Khabib wins this fight, it's rumored that he wants to fight GSP next, so we'll have to see. All right, it's nut cutting time. I guess I'll go first. I think it's going to be Khabib if I'm betting. But, as I was just alluding to in our co-main event, Justin Gaethje's wrestling background is very interesting in this fight for the simple fact that he may be able to get up to where most people have been held down by Khabib. I'm not saying he will stop the takedowns, but if he is, or is able to get back up and it wears Khabib out and Khabib gets cracked, Gaethje has the power to put him out. But if I'm betting, I'm going to go with Khabib by a 5-round decision.
Well, now, see, I want to go into my picks with can't talk today.
Prefacing?
Thank you. That
we're going to get you a thesaurus for Christmas.
You know, I try to use all these big words, and sometimes they just do not come out properly. Anyway.
I prefaced it.
Anyway, the reason why I want to bring it up is Justin Gaethje had some incredible quotes this fight week. I don't know if any of you guys have caught this or not, but the fact that he said, number one in my eyes, Khabib might control the fight and do everything he can. This is, of course, not word for word. I smoked too much to remember all that shit. Anyway, he said, every time that I put my hands on you, my feet on you, anything like that, I inflict damage.
It's a fact.
I'm not in there to try to do this, that,
He's
or
not
the
trying
other.
to point fight you.
I am in there to give damage. Are you able to accept the damage? That's quote number one. Quote number two, Khabib has never seen himself bleed. That, to me, when a fighter comes into a fight with that kind of mentality, that definitely shows where their mind state is.
He's ready to go, and he's not going to come in there scared. That's what makes this fight so interesting, and it really, you know, Justin Gaethje has a real chance to win.
Another thing beyond just the quotes that I think is a huge aspect to get Justin a potential victory is the fact that his leg kicks are devastating, but not only are they devastating, he throws them below the knee, so it's actually significantly harder for Khabib to try to catch it and turn that into a takedown because of the fact that the foot's not coming up so high off the ground.
Do you think Khabib immediately tries to take it to the ground?
Immediately. I think that's his number one and number two and number three strategy. My concern for Justin actually is completely the opposite of the way that you worded it. I think if Justin goes down, I think the fight is going to go completely bad from there for him. I think it's going to be kind of like a Conor McGregor type round, essentially, where maybe you'll see some damage for the first minute and a half, but if he does end up getting taken down, there's the next 3.5 minutes of ground control.
Well, right. I don't think there's any illusion that Justin Gaethje, wants to fight on the ground.
Well, my concern is the way that Gaethje does try to get up, because he relies on his explosivity to get up from bad positions.
Yeah, but Khabib's not a guy who's like throwing the one punch power knockout.
No, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about him cinching up a fucking guillotine when all of a sudden Justin's reaching down to post with one arm and giving his back because he's used to trying to use his explosivity to get up.
That's all. I mean, those are all factors. All right. With all that being said, who's it going to be?
Oh, why you always love to cut me so short. I got this detailed explanation in my mind of how the fight could play out, but honestly, Khabib's not losing that O. I don't think so.
You don't think he's losing O?
I think Justin is a very, very formidable opponent, and I do think he absolutely stands a real shot. I don't know if his wrestling's going to perform to the level that we all thought. Another thing that can be mentioned with the fact of Khabib losing his father is the fact that this is going to be basically his first fight as his own head coach. Even though he's got Javier Mendez with AKA still, he has said in multiple interviews that he's the one coaching up all the Dagestani guys right now, getting everybody prepared for every one of their fights.
But I've also heard him say, though, that Javier
actually has stayed, from what I've seen in the interviews and such, he's actually been out in Dubai with Khabib for the last month, essentially. So, take that for what it is. I think there's a lot on the line, but I don't think Khabib's the type of guy that cracks under those kind of pressures.
I agree. And that's why I said if I'm picking one, I got to go with Khabib. All right. Again, let us know who it is that you think's going to win. There's some good fights going on in the prelims. Past guest of the show, Smiling Sam Alvey is going to be doing his thing in the prelims. You've also got Tai Tuivasa.
Well, don't skip over his opponent, even though he's only, I believe, this will be his third fight in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. But Da Un Jung looked incredibly impressive. He actually has looked so impressive that the UFC actually gave him his own section in the Fighters You Should Know video that they do every week for these cards. So that shows where the UFC kind of has their mind on him.
Still rocking with Smiling
I
Sam.
agree with you. The Tai Tuivasa Stefan Struve fight should be incredible. It's going to be another style clash of kind of what we were talking about.
Can Tuivasa pull a Paul Plantello like he did on Stefan Struve?
It's essentially the reverse of what we were talking about with Volkov and Walt Harris, another guy that likes to get in, put pressure with Tai Tuivasa, and another long, lengthy fighter, but maybe
Struve,
not as
but
good.
Struve can actually take a damage, though.
Yeah.
That's the difference here. We've watched Struve go in there like a damn zombie. Either way, we are really looking forward to UFC 254. Let us know in the comments who it is that you think is going to win. Is it going to be Khabib? Is it going to be Gaethje? Do you think Walt Harris is going to get that big comeback dub? Or do you think Volkov's going to get him? And in the co-main, do you think the spiritual awakenment of Jared Cannonier is going to be enough to take out the former champ, Robert Whittaker? We got to tune in this Saturday to figure it out. And make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the great content from your boys here at Knockouts and 3 Counts. And like I always tell you on the weekly show, don't be an asshole. And in between time, and until next time, peace.